this is going to be a great video. If you are in the market to potentially sizing up in your trading, maybe you've been doing pretty well, or you're like, how do I take that next step? This is for you. When it comes to sizing up, I want to take you through a scenario that a lot of us have had happen to us, or we see, or I see happen all the time. I'm personally in the situation right now where I'm making that slow sizing up transition to kind of like that next level in my own trading. After now 13 months of very consistent results with one strategy, I feel really good about it. So I'm starting to make that transition. And I've kind of sized up a little bit the past couple of months, but now I'm making that like that next jump. And I'm going to get into kind of my thoughts on how I'm going about it, but also how you shouldn't go about it because of this right here. Let's pretend that you just hit 10 trades in a row. I actually had a recent streak of 11 in a row, which was nuts for me. I have not had that in a long time. It was crazy. And then I lost, which is good because I'm like, I knew it was coming at some point. But you had 10 wins in a row. The average person who's only been trading for maybe a year or less would see, holy shit, 10 wins in a row. Amazing. I'm so good. I'm seeing things good. I'm feeling really good. Think about how you'd be feeling. You'd be feeling on top of the world. You'd be like, oh man, I'm seeing the charts super, super nice. My strategy, things are working really, really nicely. And it's awesome. So what do you logically do? You go, okay, well, I'm freaking on top of the world. I'm going to double my size. I'm not going to 10x it. I'm just going to double my size. Okay. And now you double your size. That chart hits you. It comes in. That setup looks really, really nice. You're like, oh, here we go. Here we go. You lose the next 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. All losses. You can't control it, but it happened. Now, after winning 10 in a row with, let's say, on average, making $100 per trade to make it simple, we double our size, and now we're losing 150, 150, 150. We just gave back $450 out of $1,000 we just made. It's like halfway gone. Okay, that's not great, but no, we're still up. We're still up. We're feeling good. It's okay. No big deal. It happens, right? We double our size again. Loss. Now we just lost 300. Now we almost gave it all back. And now we're in our head. 100%. You see a great setup on the NASDAQ, and you're like, oh, this one looks pretty darn good, dude. I like it. But you just lost 4 in a row, and you just had your biggest loss. I don't want to say of all time because maybe you've lost more, but you just had one of your biggest losses over the past couple of months just now because you sized up. Now, take a step back here. Let's take ourselves out of the situation for a second. We are 10-4. We are 10-4. That's great. 10 wins, 4 losses. You should be feeling pretty darn fucking good about that because that's good. That's good trading. You're something's working. And if you've got even a 1-to-1 risk management, meaning I'm risking 1 to make 1, you're good. Now, obviously, you just sized up. Let's get back into the scenario. That NASDAQ setup, you see it, you go to take the trade, and your palms are sweaty, and you don't do it. You just don't do it. It goes, it breaks the level, and then you're like, oh, and you don't hit the button. You don't hit it. And that trade, or the NASDAQ, goes to exactly where your take profit was going to be. Goes exactly right there. And you think to yourself, oh, fuck, dude. I had that. Like, I just didn't hit the button. I had it. Come on, I had it. Not only did I double my size, once, now twice from my 10-0 win streak, that trade would have made back nearly $1,000. Oh my God, that would have been amazing. I would have made it all back and more. I'd be up huge. But I didn't take the trade. Now you are 100% in your head. So once you get in your head, what do? You're on the hunt. You are looking in every nook and cranny for the next trade because you can't wait to take that next trade. You need to get in. You just missed one. You hesitated, so you're like, I'm never doing that again. So now you're on the hunt. You jump out of the tree stand. Instead of letting the deer come to you, you jump out of the tree stand and you start fucking running through the woods like an animal that's being shot at. You are now being hunted and the tables have completely turned. Anybody else relate to that? Maybe almost too well? I know I can go back in time and see myself running through the woods in that exact scenario and I'm getting shot at. I'm being hunted instead of me letting the trades come to me and taking my shots. I am being hunted. That is exactly how things spiral, and it's not good, but we don't have to get to that point. Let's talk logically here. What do we actually know? We can't control the markets. So if we could control the markets, then yes, maybe we want to go out on the run and hunt things down because we can go and control it. We can't. So if I can't control the markets, there's no point of getting out of the tree stand and running. There's no point. Therefore, we don't know what trades are going to win and what trades are going to lose. So I could take a series of 10 trades and yes, I could win 10 in a row. It's possible. It's not likely, but I could do it. In my example, I had 11 in a row before I lost just recently in the month of May. And that was, I have to go back, but I don't know if I've had an 11 in a row streak in a long time, if even at all over the past year. I couldn't even tell you. So like I knew like this is not normal based on how normally how I trade. No matter how good the setup is, it literally doesn't matter because I can't tell you which trade's going to win. Even if this setup was kind of like a little questionable, but it worked, and this one was perfect, but it didn't work. I don't know. But what we do know is our trading strategies win rate and our average risk reward. If we've been tracking it with TradeZella. TradeZella is what I use to track and journal log all of my trades. I'll leave a link to them down below, but you can do that however you see fit. Track it yourself for free. Use TradeZella, use some other service. If you know your average win rate and your risk reward, those are things over the course of a large sample size of trades that you know are pretty standard in how things operate. For me, my average win rate is like 49%. But my average risk reward is like well over 1.4, 1.5 this month, or it was over 2. It depends, but I know it's well above a 1-to-1, meaning that I make way more than $1 for every $1 that I risk. So when I know those numbers, I know I have a profitable system over the course of hundreds of trades. So I don't really need to care about what this next trade's going to be. I know I could lose 11 in a row, but then I went on and win 11 in a row. If I was to win 11 in a row and then lose the next 11, but on average my winners, let's say I made $200 on my winners, and on my losers I lost 120, well, I'm going to have profits at the end of that 22 trades. So I don't really give a shit. Now, when do we not want to size up based off that logic? After you had an 11 in a row streak. That's not the time to size up, because if you know your numbers, you know that this is not going to be sustainable long term. So you're probably setting up to lose maybe more in the near future. And if you can't mentally handle the increase in size, which would then mean increase in size of your loss, well, first off, you're not ready to size up, but you shouldn't be sizing up after you've gone on a really good winning streak. So if you've been trading for a long time, and you've been doing well, and you're like, okay, well, it's time to start sizing up. The time to actually size up, if you really wanted to get into like the nitty gritty, would be after you lost a lot. You had a couple bad months. You had an 11 in a row losing streak. Now size up. But what I do want to make sure we touch on, though, is the mental piece. If you're mentally not aligned or you're not ready for it, you'll know by taking that next trade. You don't have to get into the nitty gritty. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme because you'll catch up eventually. But in the case of, let's say you wanted to size up after you had 10 in a row, you could. Maybe you lose the next couple, but then eventually, things will even out over the next couple of months. So who really cares? You'll end up net on top if you have a profitable system and strategy that you continue to operate effectively. And you do not let the sizing change anything. But this comes with time, and you kind of have to earn that right to size up and that ability to not let your mind throw you off your game just because a couple numbers are a bit bigger. Hope that makes some sense. I'll leave that link to TradeZella below to track, journal, and log all your trades. Curious your thoughts on this. I know it might sound counterintuitive to size up after losing, but technically that's when you'd want to do it anyway. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.